quick plug. I have an album out, music album out called Eternity Music. Eternity Music. The link is in the description if you want to hear that. Appreciate anyone who checks that out. And then I finished that fight scene I was writing yesterday, and I'm wrapping up this last chapter of my book. I'm writing a novel, and then the epilogue will be what remains, and I'm done. I don't know if I can finish that today. It'll be nice if I could finish it today. It'd be pretty cool too, just to at least finish before the new year starts, and then I just start editing from January 1st onwards. Be cool and then symbolic. But I don't want to rush, so you'll see. You'll see if I end up finishing today. Just writing the story. Yeah. The hardest parts are over with. Now it's just about bringing it home. Bringing the story home. It's a wild ride, man. It's a wild ride. Yeah, I have a lot of confidence. in this narrative. I think people are gonna enjoy it. Yeah. So look forward to that, and I once again appreciate everyone who is looking forward to it, and I have confidence that you'll like it. I think this is gonna be great, for sure. I'm reading over some of this stuff, and damn, this is an insane narrative. I'm just thinking about a wild experience I had. I'm not gonna talk about this whole video. There's something else I want to talk about, but a wild experience I had with one of the characters where things just went in a direction I didn't think they were going. It's just interesting how that works. Where the characters just start to act on their own, sort of. They surprise you, which is so weird because, again, it's my novel. I control everything, and yet things seem to be alive. It's weird, but yeah, I don't think people are going to see it from whatever that is. Divergence. I think a few people will be surprised. Interesting. So yeah, look forward to that. No concrete date yet. I have to start editing and see at what rate I'm moving, and then maybe I can, based on that, give an estimate of when I think the book will be out. But I have to start editing first to see how long I think it's going to take. But anywho, this morning I was doing my usual routine of prayer, and I was just thinking about one of the things I do pray for is happy marriage, happy family, that sort of stuff. But I was also thinking about the importance of praying that you're, like the best husband he can be, best wife he can be, because I've all these desires, I've all these things I look for in a woman, but you have to ask yourself, what is she looking for in a man, and can I be that? Can I provide? Can I be strong? Can I do everything I need to be for the sake of my family? And I just pray for that I can be those things, because I really do want the woman I end up marrying to feel like, yeah, I am in a great relationship. I like who my husband is. I like him as a person. He's my favorite person. I just enjoy hanging out with him, you know? There are a lot of marriages where that's not the case. Where they don't like each other, the married couple. Like, you know, like they love each other, but they don't like each other. Those are two different things. You can love someone and not like them. Like if you're a parent of a degenerate child who's always causing trouble for the community, like you love them, you don't like them. You'll die for them, but geez Louise, are they a pain in the ass? I don't want to be a pain in the ass. I want to be someone like my wife is just like, yeah, he's the best. Like any relationship, you'll probably have some contentious moments here and there in fiction, such as the case when two different people come together and are shackled together for life. Yeah, you're gonna have disagreements, but we keep those to a minimum, and really, we're just like this. We're just like this. That's what I pray for consistently every day. My mom prays for me as well, which is nice. And she has a prayer group that she's a part of, and she instructed the ladies that are part of that group to pray for me as well. So I have ladies I've never met praying for me to find a girl, which is amazing. So I feel empowered. I feel like I have the tools, both material and spiritual, to attain this, you know, to go out and attract a great woman. I just need to keep leveling up. I saw this video of this girl. She's a plumper. She's big, and you know, like she was just talking about how she wants a tall man who's in shape, and she had all these demands. And I was just thinking, like it's interesting, man. That you can require so much from someone, and then you set the bar so low for yourself, you know? How's that fair? Like, shouldn't you also be like, I also need to try my best to present myself in the best way I can. I'm gonna lose some weight, make myself more attractive, maybe get off social media and start posting stuff like this. Like, I don't know, dude. There's a lot she can do. She wants a tall man who's in shape and popular and earns this amount of money. Because guys like that are in high demand. They have options. So, you know, he has to pick you out of everyone else. Why? And if I apply that same mentality to myself, if I have, I have my preferences, girls I find attractive, whatever the case may be, and women I'd like to be with, just realistically, if we're talking about my top choice in terms of a woman, I don't think I'm at the point right now where I can attract that. I'm just being honest. And that doesn't bother me. It's like, no, it's one of those things in life you have to work hard and level up, and then eventually, like, that's always been the case with courtship. You court a woman and convince her that you're good for her and that she should marry you, and you could also convince her family that you're good for her, that she should marry you. That's always been a thing. That's not new, and it makes sense why that would be the case, right? You have to prove yourself. And I'm so okay with that. It's like, it's a challenge, and I think it's masculine to take on that challenge and fight for love and become the man that you need to be to have the things you want. I think that's part of the masculine journey. Women, not as much. You don't necessarily have to prove yourself. Just, like, obviously be in shape and stuff like that. There's really not. Even if you're in shape, there will be some men out there that maybe not the man you want. But if you humble yourself, you can still find happiness. I think men have to really work hard to to get any attention at all. And that's okay. I think that's the way it should be. Because, we're different creatures. So when it comes to me and what I want out of life, I just want to get married. I don't want to, be in the streets and have all these experiences, quote unquote, which is just, it's just emotional baggage that you carry into your relationship to complicate things. I've told this story many times, but I have a friend who had a quote unquote experience, slept with hundreds of women. I'm not even exaggerating. This guy was out there living his best life, as they say. He was actually living his worst life. He thought he was living his best life at the time. I'm sure there's fun and games, right? But then he was confiding in us, talking about how he struggles with lust. He, constantly is thinking about cheating on his girl. And a lot of guys are in the same boat. A lot of men are in the exact same boat, where they've been very active sexually, and it's not a switch you can just flip off once you're in a relationship. That's not how it works. Because you're training yourself to seek that out, to want that. So now when you're all of a sudden constrained in a relationship with one person, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to feel like you're a bird in a cage. You're going to be seeing all these women walking around. Sometimes even women have this thing, when they see a guy's in a relationship, all of a sudden they're interested in him. You're going to be tested and tempted constantly, and you're going to have to say no, and it's going to be so hard because you're so used to saying yes. But now you're in a relationship, and you can't play those games. And a lot of guys give into the pressure. They cheat. I don't want any of that. I think it's perceived as being cool when you're sleeping around and all these sort of things. You get social status from that, and people respect you because the culture is backwards. People get respected for the wrong things. It's very childish. I have no interest in that. I really just want to get married and have children. That's my whole thing. That would make me so happy. Have a year or two of being married without children, maybe, if possible, because we're going, the idea is we're going to be having a lot of sex. So whatever happens. She gets pregnant within that year, that first year of marriage or not. Hopefully we can have a little bit of time to ourselves, but yeah, like I said, I have serious plans to be very sexually active. So anyway, I think marriage is so cool. I think about being able to travel, see the world with my wife, and have all these experiences. I don't understand. I don't get why people don't look forward to that. Why is that such a turn off to people? I don't get it. Instead, they pursue these empty relationships that are transactional. You're being used for sex, and they're not really going anywhere really. And there's no real commitment. Like, this person is not truly committed. They can leave whenever they want, and they're unwilling to commit. What's the appeal in that? I don't know. People look forward to that. It's baffling. But to each their own, man. Everyone's kind of figuring things out, I guess. I mean, it's not like there's no evidence for one pathway being better than the other. I do think there is evidence that one way of life is better than the other. But people will do what they want to do at the end of the day. I'm just sharing my perspective. I can't wait to be married. I can't wait. I can wait a little bit. Like a little bit. I can wait a little bit to have children. But I'm very much looking forward to having children. I've said numerous times I'd like to have 5. I think 5 is a great number. to some people that's a lot, but it really isn't. It really isn't. And I think everyone should be having lots of kids. I think that's such an important thing. I was actually thinking about how people should embrace parenthood, but because I think there's this growing culture of people just being very, very self-centered. I watched this video of this girl. She's Korean, and she was talking about how she just turned 27, and she was saying, I'm 2 years older than my mother was when she had me. So her mother had her at 25 years old. And she was saying, I'm 27 now, and I'm still not ready for children, and I don't know if I ever will be. And she was saying it's crazy that my mom had me at 25, because that's basically a baby having a baby. That's what she was saying. And it's just crazy to think about how this generation thinks about having children. She's saying a 25-year-old is a baby. First of all, a 25-year-old is not a baby. That is an adult. It's just important to understand that. I understand people who say everything's relative, yada yada yada, like standards have changed, all these sort of things. But it's important to understand that when you're 25, you're an adult, and the world will treat you as an adult. You don't have the cop out of saying I'm a kid, I'm a baby. No, that's weird. You're an adult. But I understand the point that she's making, which is that at 25 you're still young and inexperienced, all these sort of things. I get it. I think the key to maturity, the key to leveling up in life is having experiences, is going through challenges and learning from those challenges. If you're constantly sheltering yourself from these challenges, you're not going to grow up, and you're going to remain in perpetual childhood. You got a lot of people who are in their 30s, late 30s, 40s, 50s even, and they still think like children. So they can make the same arguments about a 25-year-old being a baby and say the same thing about a 50-year-old, because really and truly, you should be an adult, thinking like an adult by the time you're in your 20s in many ways, right? And that doesn't change magically because you reach some age and there's a magic number, you turn 30 and all of a sudden, I'm an adult now. That's not how it works. You can remain a baby, just using her language, you can remain a baby well into your 60s. Well, your whole life you can remain a baby. Never grow up. Peter Pan, the Peter Pan syndrome is basically people who refuse to grow up. You're trapped in perpetual childhood. You never really grow up. You live your entire life as a child. When it comes to having children, the amazing thing is children mature you. You learn to put someone else in front of yourself. No one matters except that child. You don't matter. Your friends don't matter. Your child is everything, and you live for your child. And something happens when you get into that mindset. I've heard a lot of people describe how you just gain superpowers, man. You become capable of things you previously weren't capable of. You just unlock new, like if you play video games, you understand skill trees. How when you're playing the game, as you go through certain experiences, you unlock new skills, and you can unlock them as skill points, and you can unlock branches on your skill tree. There's the skill tree and there's branches, all these sort of things. When you become a parent, you unlock a whole new branch of that skill tree, and it's an extensive branch. And my mom has said this to me as well. Like, I've seen my mom do things, man. I'm like, what is possessing this woman to work this hard? Recently, my mom, so how it usually works around the world is that you work throughout the year, and then December comes, and then you stay at home for the holidays, and then you go back to work, right? My mom is just go, go, go. She takes maybe 2, 3 days off and back to work. Like, she's already back to work. She started working like 2 days after Christmas. And I think she stopped working like December 23rd. Or just before Christmas. I think she stopped working December 24th and just stayed on for Christmas. And then a couple days after that, and then she went right back to work. And for her, it's just a mindset of like, I'm trying to secure a future for you guys. She's talked to us about how she will, if you get married anytime soon, she'd like to front us money for like if you want to have a house or this or that. Like, she just wants to support us in every possible way that she can monetarily. She has to work hard for that. She's driven with a purpose for her children, and she works unbelievably hard. And she was telling me that when we have children, she said one day I'm going to have kids, and I'll see what it does to me in terms of just motivation. Not everyone experiences this, of course. Some people just can't help it. They're just selfish. Having children doesn't improve them at all. They still like very self-centered. They only care about themselves. That's true. There are people like that. But generally speaking, most parents love their kids, would die for the kids. The vast majority of parents would die for their children, work very hard for their children, and make a lot of sacrifices for their children. And they do it gladly. And sometimes we really don't see the many ways our parents sacrifice for us. And I want to know what that's like. I want to feel that level of love and dedication to a person. Like, imagine humanity just stops doing that. That would be a dark day, man, because I think we're already seeing it. Society is becoming more self-centered. More and more people are opting out of marriage and having children. So we're seeing the effect that that's having. We're becoming way, way, way more self-centered and egotistical, and it's a problem. And there's consequences beyond that as well. South Korea next to Taiwan. I think Taiwan is the worst birth rate in the world. They're tied. Taiwan and Korea are basically tied. I think Taiwan is slightly higher numbers. But when you look at the actual numbers of the birth rate, or I forgot what it's called, the exact term, but I'll just say birth rate. It's 1 point. What is it? No, it's not 1.7. I think it's like 0.9. Let's look it up. Let's say Taiwan birth rate. Fertility rate is what it's called, actually. Fertility rate 0.87. Jeez Louise, man. Just to put that into context, you're supposed to be at 2.1. These people are at so wait, this doesn't make sense. So South Korea is at 0.78, so it's lower than Taiwan, but for some reason, well, it says 0.68 here, but then I don't know, I'm getting different numbers when it comes to fertility rate. But if you Google it, some will say that Taiwan is the worst, and then somehow South Korea has worse numbers. I don't know how Taiwan is the worst if it has higher numbers than South Korea. But anyway, maybe they're considering other factors. I don't know. But they're basically like in the same boats. They're both terrible. They have the worst fertility rates in the world, the worst birth rates in the world. Populations are aging like crazy. They're gonna have more old people than young people very soon, and that's gonna be catastrophic. I say all this, and I feel like it doesn't register with people. They don't really understand what all that means. They think it's just like, oh well. And the issue with problems like this is, by the time it looks crazy, like by the time things get really, really bad, it's far too late to change things. The time to change things might have already passed, to be honest. I think it might be too late because it's like steering around a very big ship that's headed towards an iceberg. And I think it's too close to the iceberg right now. Like, you can try to turn it around. Maybe you can avoid total calamity, but you're still going to experience extreme damage. You're still going to experience extreme damage, and they already are. I think there's a lot of economic issues, not only in South Korea, but Japan, because Japan is also has a terrible birth rate and fertility rate. And, consequences include things like schools being shut down, like entire schools being shut down, villages being shut down. Because what happens is, in villages, you lose young people. Like, there's no young people in the village. They've all moved out. They're moving to the bigger villages or the city centers, whatever, because that's where all the activity is. Because, population shrinking. What happens is the government says there's not enough people here. We can't keep funding this place. You have to vacate. Or they don't force you to leave, but they stop funding certain infrastructure. So, for example, there were certain villages that train lines stopped moving, so that they discontinue certain routes for trains, because they're like, there's no point in the train coming through this area. There's just not enough people here. They closed down schools, certain businesses shut down, so on and so forth. It's really, really sad. And I was watching a video where this guy was describing how a lot of places tourists used to go, they don't go anymore because these places have been gutted. The businesses have vanished, and the population there isn't what it used to be. So the place just isn't interesting anymore. It's lost its life. It's lost its culture because the population is dwindling. These things are exponential. It gets worse at an exponential rate. So what's Japan going to look like 10 years from now? 10 years is not enough to fix an issue like this. So I don't think there's anything they can do in 10 years. Because when you think about having children, this is like a multi-decade process. Like, they have to grow up and become adults that contribute to society. That takes decades. So really, during that period of time, what you gonna do? You can try rely on immigration, but that comes with its own bag of challenges. People want to preserve their culture, and if you just open up the floodgates and say anyone who wants to come to our country, come to because of a population crisis, that there's a lot of risks. There's a lot of risks with that, because you want to preserve Japan, and what makes Japan Japan. A big part of what makes Japan Japan is its cultural homogeneity. They move in tandem. They're very united people. They have a very collective way of thinking. It comes with its downsides, but it also created the culture that we know and love. And they will lose many aspects of the culture we know and love if they let in too many people at once. So the best thing for them is to have children, Japanese children among themselves. Change is inevitable. I think change happens inevitably. Nothing stays the same forever. I think that's also true. So I think Japan is bound to change one way or another, but you do have a say in how quickly you change, and the sort of change, whether it's positive or negative. I think not always. I think sometimes shit happens, but for example, people drop a nuke on you. But in this case, this was preventable. They didn't have to go through this in this way, and I think this is the sort of change that be great. Maybe somehow, some way they'll get out of this situation, but it's looking bad. This is just Japan. Imagine South Korea, which is in a far worse situation. South Korea and Taiwan, they're in Japan is in deep water. Like, I feel like Japan and South Korea and Taiwan are at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. That's how deep they are in the water. But yeah, anyway, 5 kids in the backdrop of all that, 5 kids sounds pretty good, doesn't it? All of a sudden, I'm a contributing member of society. Because even I live in South Africa. Even here, our birth rates are starting to. We're above replacement rate. You're supposed to be at 2.1, which is fertility rate. Replacement rate of the fertility rate. Anyway, we're supposed to be at 2.1, and we're slightly above that. But we are, compared to like the 60s, we are 100. I don't want to say 100%. It's very, very likely we're going to sink below replacement rate, which means our population is also going to start to shrink. This is happening all over the world, except in many African countries. African countries still reproducing at high levels, but Europe, Asia, North America, many parts of South America, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good. Italy, another abysmal situation when it comes to the birth numbers. Italy is down bad. And listen, people will say the earth is overpopulated and there's no real problem and this isn't a thing we should be worrying about. And that's a very ignorant opinion, because this issue is currently, right now, as we speak, having serious economic consequences, because there are not enough young people paying taxes to support the government and all these sort of things, and not enough young people innovating to move society forward. And another thing to think about is when the society advances and becomes more complex, has more complex infrastructure, surely you understand that you can't just get by on the same numbers you had 4 or 5 decades ago, right? You have to expand. If you want to maintain an advanced civilization, yeah, you're gonna need more people. Because it's more complicated now. It needs more hands on deck. So when you have a shrinking populace, but everything else stays the same, yeah, you got problems in your hands because the burden gets heavier. The weight was distributed amongst lots of people before, but now the weight is being concentrated on on a small group of people. So all the young people complaining about the cost of living and how hard things are. Listen, man. There's a strong potential for things to get a lot worse than what they are now. We will look back on these times as like the good old days if things don't change. Again, it's like a big ship that's heading towards iceberg. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. And there's no historical record of any nation that had an abysmal fertility rate, like had a birth crisis, that managed to turn that around. That's, as far as we know, that's never happened before. It almost always leads to societal collapse. We saw this with ancient Greece. They had terrible birth rates. Eventually, they just stopped having children. And yeah, was it ancient Greece or the Roman Empire? I think both of them suffered from the same issue. I don't know, but they both collapsed. So there's just no evidence that it's possible to turn that ship around once it goes that way. But when you have so many countries around the world experiencing this issue, you're like, wait, surely they're not all going to collapse. Surely there's a way out of this. I don't know. Pray to God that there is. But I'm doing my part, man. I'm gonna have the first. People say have the first one and see how you feel. If you still wanna have children, I think it's more so about it's less about the feeling and more about the commitment and the mission. For me, the mission is to be a father of 5 children. I think there's legacy attached to that. I think there's a lot of blessings attached to that. There's a lot of adventure and experiences attached to that. So even if it's hard, I'll still do it. When people say, see how you feel after the first child, you'll see if you're still saying you want 5 kids. I think I will. I think I'll enjoy it, but I also think it's not about enjoyment necessarily. In part it is, but also I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission, people. I'm not fooling around. So yeah, I do think not enough people take the birth crisis seriously. They think it's a joke. They think it's not that big of a deal. And like I said, by the time things get bad, things had been bad for a long time. And you weren't doing anything about it. And by that point, it's far too late to do anything. You should be observing the signs of decay while things still look good. Because the rot is deep within. You need to deal with the rot while it's still, when it hasn't spread too much yet. By the time you're seeing it everywhere, think about a rotten apple. There's nothing you can do with it. You have to throw it out. It's done. By the time the whole apple is rotten, it had been rotting for a long time from the inside. Right? The same thing with the society. By the time the whole society is fucked up and everything is just a post-apocalyptic hellscape, by the time it reaches that point, you can't now say, guys, it's time to do something. What are you talking about? It's too late. You have to start from scratch. You have to start over. But maybe things can be saved if you root out the rots from wherever it is occurring. But how can you do that when people think that if there isn't even a rot to begin with, there's no problem? That the birth crisis isn't a problem to some people. They think, no, everything's fine. Like that Korean girl, she's from the country with the worst birth rate in the world, depending on who you ask. And even she's well off, by the way. She's doing well for herself. She's got a successful YouTube channel. She travels a lot. She does this. She does that. She can at least support one child, but I'm pretty sure she can do way more than that. Because if you just look at her lifestyle, you're like, yeah. There's space here for sure. There's people who are living way more humble lives than you. They have way less than you in Korea, and they have children. So there's no you can't be this privileged and be like, I don't have enough money. People make all sorts of excuses, but at some point the excuses won't matter in the end when everything falls apart. Your excuses aren't going to save you when the society is collapsing. So even in a country like Korea, where things are collapsing in front of the very eyes, and the government is begging people to have kids, begging them, saying, we'll give you money. They're even giving people money, dude. They're trying everything. It's not working. At some point, we just have to be like, well, every warning was available and people said, nope, we don't care. Fuck. Some people genuinely just can't afford it. I get it. If you're someone who lives in New York where everything is unbelievably expensive and you don't even know like how you can pay rent for the next month. Sometimes the thought of children just terrifies you. I get it. Even then, there's things you can still do. You can move to a cheaper place. You can move out of the state. You can. Where there's a will, there's a way. People don't want to hear that, man. But where there's a will, there's a way. In South Africa, we have the Afrikaans people. They're known as Boers, Boere. And there's a saying, a Boer maak 'n plan. A Boer makes a plan. You don't make excuses. You make a fucking plan. Get the job done. There are many, many poor people around the world who have nothing. Still find a way to support their families. They still find a way. They make a plan and they support those kids. My mom grew up in unbelievable poverty. Had no shoes when she went to school. Literally went to school barefoot. Look at her now, man. And she had siblings. And they all made it in one way or another. Now, the daughter of one of my mom's siblings is doing very well in the UK and sent her kid to study in China, and she's getting a great education in China. I just don't want to hear it, man. All these excuses are ridiculous, and the people who are way more well off than what my mom was when she was coming up. But somehow you are just you're a unicorn exempt from all of this. At some point the excuses run out, guys, because we're in a crisis. We're in a crisis. We're in a serious birth crisis. People are not taking it seriously. They think it's a joke. It's not a joke. This is like the shit that collapses entire civilizations. And there's a lot of suffering that accompanies civilizational collapse. Like, you don't understand how bad it can get. But if people keep doing this, we'll find out. We'll find out the hard way. I don't want us to, by the way. I share the planet with you. I don't want to see things go tits up. I really don't. I want America to thrive. I want Japan to thrive. I want South Korea to thrive. People have to take these things seriously. This is not going to happen by itself. We can't just wish for things to work out. We have to actually do the things that make the things work out. But anyway, what's going on? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know. You know, I like to pray at the end of my videos, dear Father God, I thank you for this individual arguments right now. Thank you for making them whole, unique, and guiding them on a path towards peace, prosperity, and purpose. Thank you for blessing this person with wonderful people in their life who love them, take care of them, and bring the absolute best out of them. Thank you for maintaining the ones that are there to do the same thing. Thank you for blessing this person with love and marriage, and sustainable love and marriage, and making you very, very happy. Thank you for blessing this person with the spirit of gratitude so they can give thanks for the wonderful things in life, and by giving thanks they can find peace, contentment, and attract even more blessings. Let your presence be felt in this person's life so they know that you're God, that you're real, that you love them, and always be there for them. Good health, long life, and happiness over this person, everyone that care about your mind. We pray in Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.